Very different question, a difficult question for me. Uh, I think it's all together.
Mm-hmm.
I live in three cultures. I mean, I still maintain the Russian culture and everything I received from
Yeah.
the Russian culture and traditions, and I speak the language.
Yeah.
We speak three languages at home. We're trilingual. We speak the English, um, my kids especially.
Mm-hmm.
I speak Russian with my wife, and I speak Hebrew with them.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it happens all the time. So, language is a very strong um, element of culture in general, of communication, but also communication through arts. So I've written music in quite many languages up to now. English was, of course, one of them, and maybe we'll have to bring one example on English language from a little earlier piece that I wrote in 2006. Um, I wrote then a cycle of four metaphysical songs on the works of so-called metaphysical poets, English poets of the 17th century. Um, it's hard to describe it as a really sacred music. If you just to name the four poets that I used in my settings, the John Donne,
Mm-hmm.
Francis Quarles, Fulk Granville, and George Herbert. Uh, some of them were, uh, their texts were certainly religious, even
Mm-hmm.
if not liturgical, but this is called devotional poetry, somewhat close to the Canticum Fratres Solis
Mm-hmm.
way of devotional poetry, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
along the same lines. Um, and well, as far as language, for me personally, language has tremendous weight in
Mm-hmm.
choosing the text
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about it musically. One of the challenges of writing contemporary sacred music, or to that respect, any vocal music, is the distance that I feel with that text, with that person who wrote the text. So
Mm-hmm.
these are texts from English texts from 17th century, and of course it's different from the current English in so many ways. But for me as a composer, the the feeling of that text, the language of it, the musical sound of it, and all that comes with this, all the associations with art, with theater, with poetry, all of this together comes to something that makes a tremendous difference of how that music will sound
Mm-hmm.
ultimately. So let me just read a few lines from the beginning of that next segment that we'll hear, uh, John Donne, the anniversary. Now, this is not really a sacred piece, but it has some sacred associations, especially towards the end of it. It's actually a love poem. But the way it sounds, even the beginning of it, there was something in the sound of it that triggered music that was very much, for me, pre-sacred music. I think it's one of the pieces that led me to concentrate more on the sacred music. So here are just a few lines of the beginning of it. All kings and all their favorites, all glorious of honors, beauties, wits, the sun itself, which makes times as they pass, is elder by a year now than it was when thou and I first one another saw. All other things to their destruction draw. Only our love hath no decay. This no tomorrow hath, no yesterday. Running, it never runs from us away, but truly keeps his first, last, everlasting day. Two graves must hide thine and my course. If one might, death were no divorce. Alas, as well as other princes, we, who prince enough in one another be, must leave at last in death these eyes, these and ears, oft fed with true oath and with sweet salt tears. But souls where nothing dwells but love, all other thoughts being inmates, then shall prove this, or love increase there above, when bodies to their graves, souls from their graves remove.